RH here with an important public service announcement. Concerned about mice? Write to Feed the MEESERs, Box 1427, Pueblo, Colorado. Feed 'em with a bucket trap! And just found something so lovely. Mice had gotten in. Under the seat, there's part of their nest. Geezer rant. Take one. I mean, really, is nothing sacred to these mice? I mean, to attack a man's motorcycle. I mean, how low can you go? Welcome to Mouse Bucket 101. Tired of handling all those mouse traps? Tired of taking their little guts off of the inside of your traps? Tired of having to rebait the trap every time and only catch one mouse per trap? Welcome to the Mouse Bucket! The greatest inventions ever! I'm not the first one to have mouse buckets. They've been on the web for a long time. They work great. Anatomy of a mouse bucket. Got the bucket. You've got a rod passing through the bucket. This is a piece of music wire. Here's a piece of welding rod. Copper and that's also a piece of welding rod. Anything that's straight. You could use a coat hanger. Piece of a section of a coat hanger. That would work fine too. And then you just need to have some kind of a can or lightweight. These are pill bottles here. And here's a piece of ABC pipe with a couple caps on the ends. But you need something that's going to be able to rotate. Can, whatever. Something that you can put a hole in the end. I use like a marking gauge when I mark the ends of these. It's got like a 90 degree with a center post like this, so you can mark like this, and then you rotate it, and then you mark again, and where they cross, that's the center. Any of you that do woodworking will know about that tool. So that allows you to mark the center to get the hole centered so they don't wobble. I mean, if they wobble a little bit, so what? But, you just want them to be able to spin freely. And they're filled up with, this one's got about 3 inches of water in it. You need enough water that they can't touch bottom, because you don't want to extend their agony. You want them to drop in and drown quickly. And, of course, the ramp. When I do the ramps, I like to use the staples, the Romex staples, one of those on the end. So that makes it so that it kind of connects, it's not going to fall away. If you just have it like this, the mice might knock it over or whatever, but it's a little more secure with that. The mice smell on this, I've got it wrapped, I've got a coating, a thin coating in spots of peanut butter. Seems to work pretty well. You can try other things or stick other things onto it, but for here, the peanut butter works quite well. The mice smell it, come up the ramp, and then they just assume this is solid, so they're used to being able to jump onto something. Well, they jump from here onto this, and their weight hits it. Okay, they're going forward, their weight hits it, and just causes the thing to spin, and plunk, they plop right down in there. They drop in, they drown, and then the nice thing is, unlike a regular spring trap, which you got one mouse, that's it, you'd have to come out in every single day, and then you'd have this terrible smell. Another mice might come and eat the first one, which I've seen before, and it's not a pretty sight. So, nice thing about this, they drop in, they die quickly, they drown, it's easy to clean, you can collect a bunch of them in here. Once a mouse is in there, depends on the temperature outside as to how long you want to leave it around. Smaller ones, smaller ramps. Same principle, of course. One of the things when you place the mouse buckets, you don't want to have other things around it that they could climb up onto. Let's say you had something over on this side. Well, the mice could come up here and then get to the rim, and then maybe come over across this way to get to it. And that would, you know, it may not spin fast enough to drop him in. He may be able to jump back off again. And then he would know not to go to your traps. So you want to keep it clear around this area, so the mice have to come up this ramp. I found in the pole barn that the smaller buckets, and these are 1.5, 2, I would say 1.5, they're actually had solid materials, so they don't list gallons on them. But just looking at them, I don't know, 1.5 gallons, somewhere in that vicinity. That seems to be about the smallest. I've tried smaller ones and they don't work. You can't get enough water ratio and just doesn't, they can jump back out. So that's about the smallest I've found that works. In this pole barn, I've had better success with the small ones, probably because I can put them in small niches better. Areas where there's more cover, the mice probably feel more secure. And I think having a shorter ramp, I think they're more inclined. They're going to smell the peanut butter quicker. They can see it. It all works to your favor. So the rod, obviously there's just a hole in each side that the rod passes through. So you can have to like pass it through, slip your can over it, slip it through the other side. Here, since this is a flexible rod, I just bend it over on both ends. The music wire here is pretty stout, and it fit tight, so I didn't have to put any kind of retention on the ends, just slipped it through, and it's been fine. So what I do is place these in. I've got 3 different good locations that I found in the pole barn, and these are all set up to go. I'm going to go place them in their different spots. You know, I got 4 victims in that one. That one's been sitting here a little while. See the peanut butter on the top wheel, how it gets kind of fuzzy after a while. You got to like clean it off and sterilize it. It's very cathartic. Oh boy, hold my breath on this one. This one's been sitting too long. Oh boy. There's at least 6, 7, 8. Looks like there's 8 of them in there. And that's a little bucket. Oh. Today. And what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that one. A little story about, you know, I say MEESERs and, you know, here we talk about sheeps or whatever. I grew up, my sister was an English major, and she was 11 years my senior. There was always problems there. She actually would supervise us when the parents were gone and such for a while. And it really bugged her. Anytime we made phrases that weren't grammatically correct. And here's 6 MEESERs in this trap. We just got in the habit of bugging her every time we could twist a phrase or whatever, just to annoy her. So I was talking about sheeps or MEESERs or you know, moo-moos, you know, using poor sentence structure and such. It's pretty, and I never cared much for English as a study, although it is pretty hilarious. God's got his sense of humor. So I did engineering work for 20 years. I had to do a lot of writing and such in that, presentations and things. So, yeah, and that was bad enough. I had to hone my English skills for that and doing presentations. But then when I got out of that, now I'm writing patents full time. So my full-time day job is writing to a fairly critical audience. So things do kind of come around. The things you end up disliking very much at the beginning often end up being where your career is going to be. I enjoy writing now. I actually like to write particularly things involving scripture, you know, kind of my science bent on that. And anyway, I just thought I'd like to hear the story of my sister and how, you know, sometimes you hear me use some, you know, incorrect grammar. I'm a visual person anyway. Language is my first suit. Building is! Projects!
So I'm going to get out to these MEESERs and get them planted in the ground and get back in here to the projects. Back to the PB. I got to get all these buckets all cleaned up, reloaded, ready to catch more MEESES. First phase in the cleaning process, I'll just get out here with the hose and a good sprayer. Hose down the inside of the bucket. Get any of the loose material off of the spinner wheel. This way it works pretty well. So I'll do that with a bucket, rinse them a couple times, and then I'll fill them up with water and take them on inside for cleaning the wheel off the rest of the way and reloading. Here's a process I use to clean the mouse bucket. So anytime I dump the mice, I've already taken and rinsed them out. Next thing is get the wheels cleaned off of them, because I've seen they got all fuzzy. If I just put new peanut butter over the top of the old, it can get fuzzy very quickly within a few days. So, you have all your materials ready, paper towels, reload with peanut butter, smooth peanut butter, not crunchy. And it's like a scraper, just a piece of wood that I use to scrape the things off. Alcohol, that actually helps quite a bit in terms of increasing the time between cleanings. So I've already washed off the outside of the bucket. I actually don't want, peanut butter can fall down the inside, but I just kind of prefer it not to. So I'll just kind of scrape it off onto something. Normally, actually, I put the rubber gloves on, but they kind of make it difficult for me to start and stop the camera. So I'll just have to scrub up good afterwards. Now I find that the mice will still come on these even when they have a little bit of mold on them. But once they're pretty much covered with mold, they don't seem to go for them anymore. So kind of limited as to time. Now the first time you put your mouse buckets in, you could go for months without getting mold. But thereafter it happens pretty fast because the little mold spores or whatever are probably all over the place. And that's one of the reasons why we use the alcohol on this. Often I use something like a green cleaner or a Windex or something before I use the alcohol. But for the sake of brevity here, we're just going to go right to the alcohol. And I always try to get the ends too with the alcohol. PVC pipe. Rain delay! Wash my hands and stuff, I'll wash off the outside of the alcohol bottle. Try to keep some electrical tape on the bottom of this, it's easier to clean wood. This is a fresh jar. Just want to get some cheap peanut butter, cheap. Stuff with some preservatives in it would be good. Something to keep the mold off. Now you could put poison in with it, but I mean, they're going to be dead within minutes afterwards anyway, so why bother? Initially when I was doing this, I was really packing on the peanut butter, but it turns out that they're not eating much of it. They're really going by the smell. So you're really looking for having some surface area. So you're going to pack it on, you don't want it heavy on one side, you want them to still be able to spin pretty freely. So when the mouse jumps up, just spins, drops them right down in. Like I say, when I first got into this place, I'd be working in here, I'd look over, here's the mice running over there, the mouse running over there, and there'd be little mice poops everywhere. It was horrible. That's the only thing that makes me squeamish about it. I've got enough diseases, I've got enough problems as it is. I don't need to get some other mouse-borne pathogen.
So I don't want this thing getting moldy and transferring it into my peanut butter or onto the sticks here. Wintertime, obviously, we get more mice, more drop-in visitors, I like to call them. So once these things are all loaded up like this, they're ready to put back in place with the ramp on it, and you're good to go. Anyway, since I put the mouse buckets in here, when I was first in this pole barn, it would be quite annoying when you weren't running a power tool, and you can hear their little claws running across the concrete, and so I'd be working, I'd hear them like running across, and then sometimes I'd see them, you know, different spots. It drives you crazy because it's like you want to get them out of there. Since I put the mouse buckets in, I've not seen one mouse, heard one mouse. They seem to, when they come in, they seem to go right for the food, the mouse buckets, and they're done. And you know, some of you maybe, I don't know, there's some people out there a little squeamish about, you know, having to take care of rodents and things, but you know, when you get out there in the country and they're invading your space, you kind of naturally get over your aversion to having to take care of them. So hopefully you don't treat all your drop-in visitors like this. Happy mousing.
Ready for more MEESERs. There's a poor family of MEESERs in there this morning. Ooh. But they come in here to the pole barn, they go right for the traps, and they're done.